All right, so spoilers for X. Right at the get-go. Right. Let's get right to it. I told you, hey, we should review X because I just saw it, and you said, sure, I'd love to. You know, the horror movie, sure. But then you sent me a very interesting voice message, which I heard, which I had to hear, which I was in my car. We were driving, and my sister was in the co-pilot, and because I had my phone connected, your audio just like played in the car, and your audio was something along the lines of like, "Hey, I know this movie is like kind of like it's about a group of kids, and they're like shooting a porno movie. Like, how okay is it that I watch this with my wife?" And I had to turn to my sister and be like, "I don't fucking know where to start with this," because like that. The porn part was not the part that I was worried about. It was like literally everything else. So I was like, I don't know what these two have like sat down and watched together, but I figured if they're married, they've seen enough. So I don't know how much or how far ahead like you two were in that situation. But I was like, I don't. And for like 10 minutes, I didn't respond to you for like 10 minutes because I was just like, I was talking with my sister. We were like, what the fuck do I tell this guy? Like, what do I answer him? Is it like, I don't know. And then she was like, just answer him. Like, just tell him, like, whatever. So I was just like, so I sent you like a wall of text. So I was like, I don't. If I tell you, it would be a spoiler. Because, like, I don't know.
Out.
I'm sorry. No, because it's the truth. Because I could not have spoiled the insanity that this movie carries. Okay, I couldn't. I had to watch it without knowing what's going to happen, and I had to let you experience that as well. So I don't know how you ended up watching it. I don't know if you watched it by yourself or if you watched it with Nikki. But yeah, I need to know, how was the experience?
It was an experience. Certainly. There had to be multiple pauses, multiple snack breaks, because it's like, what the fuck is this? Upon more further research into the film and its themes, I came to appreciate it more. But yeah, it took some time to get through this movie.
I did warn you. Lots of boobs. Too many boobs, probably.
Possibly too many. Possibly.
Yeah.
So let's. Is that the opening bit? Should we just jump into this review?
Thank you for welcoming us into your headphones. My name is Chema.
I'm Eddie.
Reviewing X, and this is the Rollback. X, dying to show you a good time. In 1979, a group of young filmmakers set out to make an adult film in rural Texas, but when the reclusive elderly host catch them in the act, the cast finds themselves fighting for their lives. So this is a new slasher film done by Ty West, who also did he's done a lot of like spooky movies, usually low budget films. He directed a couple of sections in VHS, and he's here to do this new movie that's become kind of like a small hit produced by A24, and certainly has its marks all over them. It's got a really young cast: Mia Goth, Jenna Ortega, Brittany Snow, Kid Cudi. They are a group of teenagers or young people who are doing a porno movie. They leave from San Antonio to a rural section in Texas. They don't say where the rural is, so I'm choosing to believe it's the Rio Grande Valley. And and it's certainly an interesting original little movie that does a lot of tribute to the slasher films of the 80s and 90s. So certainly an experience, certainly one of the most original films of the year. I really enjoyed it. What did you think of it?
Okay, this movie requires more than one viewing, I think. Or if you want to get a full taste for it, you got to watch it. You also got to do your back research on it to kind of fully understand the themes. Because I think upon the first viewing, it may not be obvious what it's trying to say. But with multiple viewings or with multiple sources, you come to appreciate it. Yeah.
I think you risk yourself of getting the movie and the experience spoiled. I think if you're gonna do that research, it should be after.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, do it after. Like, after you watch the movie, you're not
Okay.
sure if you like it or not. Like, you should research it, see if you like it, and then go from there. Like, you know,
Okay.
to understand
Okay.
it better.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So we have this movie, and we have a young cast, like I mentioned. Everyone's gonna talk about Mia Goth, who's like the face of this movie. Her face is on the poster, and and spoiler, but she plays two roles. She is the main actress, and she's also the old lady, Pearl, in very heavy and very well done makeup. Like, you would I couldn't believe that it was her. So she's great in those two roles. And then the other girl, Jenna Ortega, who plays her, she's like the boom mic girl. She's kind of having a heck of a year, man. She was in Scream 5. She was the younger sister in Scream 5. She was in the Fallout, which is one of my favorite movies of this year. And then she was in this, and then she's gonna be Wednesday Addams in the new Wednesday show on Netflix. So she's having a heck of a year. This is certainly an evolution since she started in a Disney Channel show. So she's doing great, man. She's a great presence. There's also Brittany Snow, who was great in the Pitch Perfect movies. Kid Cudi, who plays one of the porn actors, and Martin. Owen Campbell? No, who plays the director? He's
That's
Owen Campbell?
Vince?
Yeah, I think that's him.
No, is that... No, that's
Wayne.
RJ.
Martin
Owen
Harrison.
Campbell. Yeah, RJ.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so the whole cast really works great. I think similar to how we talked about Hocus Pocus, I think they're all really well established. They're color coded. So I really enjoyed it because of that. I enjoy the cast, I enjoyed the premise, and I really enjoyed the execution. It really had me on my feet on what was going to happen.
So this movie, it very much pays homage to a lot of early horror films. Like the opening shot, straight up a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like right from the get-go. Like the shot in the van.
Yeah.
And then they hit the ground running. They're off to shoot this flick, which at the time, like, it wasn't unheard of for, like, you take $5,000-$10,000, which is still a lot of money back then. Make this movie, you could, quadruple, you could make 10 times, the money you invested in. And it's an easy way, cheap way, I guess, to make a lot of money quickly. Which, I mean, that's probably one of the themes in this movie is, like, the American dream, in case that wasn't obvious between the red, white, and blue. Wanting to accomplish as much as you can or whatnot. That's one of the several themes that goes on in this film. You have the young RJ Nichols, who's like a kid fresh out of film school that like he wants to do like all this editing and like make it look like it's from France or something. Like,
yeah,
like kid, you know the job you're doing, right? Like not to be mean, but you know what you're doing, right? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So they go to this farmhouse. The farm. The owner of the farm. What's his name? Howard.
Howard?
No. I'm trying to find his name. The name of the farm. The farm owner. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to find his name. Howard. Yeah. Howard is he's the farm owner. Howard and Pearl. He's initially kind of welcoming, but also a little hostile when he kind of realizes, oh, I know what you're doing. I don't take too kindly to you folk. But I like how there's a bit of respect there between him and Jackson because they were both in the military. Like, they don't bother, like, they're not going to do the whole, like, racist old man thing. It's more like, okay, there's a bit of mutual respect here because, once a Marine, always a Marine.
Yeah.
And,
the visuals in this, like, these two old the owners of the house, the fact that they feel ever present and spooky and scary, they're a good visual and they're a good, like, quote unquote villain to have. But there are also some parts where you don't feel like sorry for them, but you at least feel some empathy for them. Like Pearl, essentially the villain of the story, Like her whole thing is like, oh, I used to be young and I used to be pretty and my husband used to touch me and he doesn't anymore. Like my life sucks. Look at you. Look at these boobs. Look at this. And like I've never heard a villain say that. Like I don't think it's a little sad. Like it's a little sad. Like all this woman wants is to bang her. Is her husband to bang her and like that's all she wants. Like that's all she and like it's a little sad, right?
Well, see, that's part of the themes, because it's like, there's a scene, so we're just going to jump all over the place. So there's a scene later on where Howard and Pearl do have, let's be honest, we stopped trying to be organized a long time ago, folks. So there is a scene later on in the film where Pearl and Howard, they're having intimacy issues. You know, she kind of says, like, you know, like, we should try. And Howard says, my heart can't take it, like, you know, and she feels rejected. And it's so sad. Because, she did her makeup. She tried to look nice for him. She wants to be intimate with her husband, but he can't because, you know, one of the themes in this is that you get too old to do things. And one of those things is, you know, be intimate. And it's so sad. But, like, if there was ever a horror movie villain that you could have sympathy for, it's probably these two.
Yeah, definitely.
Not a whole lot of sympathy because you find out that they have some poor SOB tied up in the basement. I'm assuming used by them or by Pearl, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a scene later on to counteract that where Pearl and Howard do get intimate. You know, he's like, "What if my heart can't take it?" And she's like, "I just want you to make me feel special. You used to say that I was one of the most beautiful girls you've ever seen," and he's like, "You've always been the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." Like, aw. And then they're intimate, and then, you know, part of the crowd might be like disgusted, like, ugh, old people having sex. But then it's like, that's kind of the point of the movie, is like, you're fine when they're young and in their 20s and attractive, but when you're older, that's not okay. Like, that's part of the themes that Ty West is kind of messing with here. Like age. Age is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and he succeeded, I think, in giving that and saying that message with a movie that is also gory as hell. Like it's incredible how, like, all of the kills in this movie, they're all different. Like, did you notice that? Like, no one dies in the same way. Mm-hmm. Like one of them gets, you know, squished by a truck. One of them gets shot. One of them gets hanged. Like, like everyone dies in a different way. And like, if by a crocodile, and it feels gooey and smart. This movie has a budget of $1 million. Okay, $1 million. Okay, and they made so much. They made a little movie that feels big, like it feels like a tribute to all these slasher films, and it feels campy, but in a good way. Like, I couldn't believe that it was just $1 million. Like, it's like the actors must have charged like scale or something, because it was fun. It was so fun, and this is how you know that when you have a good script, when you have a good execution, when you have good actors, you can do a lot with very little. It reminded me a little bit of The Evil Dead, with the whole cabin thing. But also, like, the concept, the music, it was good, man. It was a great movie.
You know, so I'm reading more on this as we're talking, and apparently it was 8 to 10 hours of makeup plus a 12-hour shoot day whenever she was Pearl for Mia Goth. Yeah. Which, I mean, people are talking about her possibly getting nominated for either this film or X, for either X or Pearl, which I wouldn't be surprised either way. But yeah, so I mean, the themes in this film, like, are very deeply rooted, but also very relatable, because are we all not scared of growing old, you know, and becoming irrelevant, or not being able to do things that you used to be able to do? Like, fuck, here's a stupid example, but here's an example nonetheless. When I was a kid, I used to buy, you know, those big boxes of Nerds? Yes. So I used to buy those and eat them like candy. Like, I was 8. Like, I could do that. I could eat the whole box and I'd be fine. I tried that shit again when I was like 22, 23. We were hanging out at my friend Shu's house, and I buy a box. I'm like, I haven't done this in years. So I eat all the candy, right? I eat all the Nerds. Shit you not, 10 minutes later, I was in the bathroom vomiting rainbows. Because I can't do it anymore. I can't. And that's just fucking eating candy. Can you imagine something as humanly basic as just wanting to be with the person that you love and you can't do it? Like, damn, I'd be torn apart too. I don't blame him. I mean, don't murder people, don't have slaves, but like, you know. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely a movie that tries to show you that side and it shows you the empathy on them. So, because it worked, I did feel empathy for them, and but it only works because it feels realistic. Like those scenes where Pearl is approaching Mia Goth and kind of like starts smelling her and just tells her something like along the lines of like, "Ooh, like this will be our secret" or something. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I don't know what was happening, but I was surprised when it wasn't supernatural. Like it just people that one are very afraid that they grew up, and two, they're not really well. They're not well, and they're just kind of taking it out on like the closest possible stranger. And it's a little sad because even when she tries to throw herself at the director of the movie, and he rejects her, and he's like, "Yeah, let me take you back to your husband." Like he'll probably like, and she just like stabs him. And like, "Oh, okay, we're doing this."
See,
fun.
See, that's the thing. Also, is like none of these characters are bad people. Like RJ is like, "Let me take you back to your husband." Wayne is trying to help Lorraine try to find RJ, and he's not even weird about it because he's in his underwear when she's like, "Hey, I can't find RJ." He doesn't hit on her. He's like, "Oh, fucking shit, these kids. Let me help you find him." Like they're good people. Jackson is like, "I was a tracker in Vietnam. I'll help you find your wife." Even Bobby or Brittany Snow's character, like when she finds Pearl, she's like, "Oh, it's okay. My grandmama, you know, when she was older, she had these episodes too. I thought about being a nurse. Let me help you." Like, they're not bad people. None of them are bad. Like you don't want any of them to die. You feel sorry for them that they're in this really unfortunate situation.
Yeah, that no one caused. Like no one's guilty of this. You know, I mean, they didn't deserve to die, but like, you know, what were they doing besides, you know, just trying to make some cash?
Yeah,
isn't that the American dream? Like,
well, there's dialogue.
I like also. No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, I was gonna say that I this is gonna sound weird, but I really like how this movie was not like anti-sex or anti like being a prude, you know. It was very pro, like, hey, we're just doing this because we enjoy it, like we're having fun with it, and you know, we're not hurting anyone, you know. It's all consensual and it's being done, you know. We're doing a service to like the people that, so they won't have to like leave their houses, you know. They could just watch porn at home, and you know, we're not hurting anyone, you know. We're doing it because we want to, like no one's forcing us, and you know, what's wrong if we make a buck out of it? I like how it was very open about that for a movie that takes place in the 70s and probably a bigger taboo than it is now. I like how the movie was very pro that. I don't know if it was the best execution of it, but I'm not an expert. But I enjoyed how they did it. I like how it was very open-minded in that sense.
Well, there's also a lot of parts in this film where they openly talk about the American dream and wanting to make enough money to not worry about things. Like even Wayne tells Max at one point, like, "I don't want to have to wear a hard hat, you know. I don't want a tough life. I'm just trying to, you know, have a good life." And the thing is, this movie, if I'm not mistaken, is shot in what, 1971, 1979, and straight up, the U.S. was not a great time at that time. It was very much, I think we were on the verge of a recession or in the midst of a recession. It was a tough economy. So, like, kids at that time, like, well, how are you going to build your life? What are you going to do? And, I mean, this was one way. There's also a through theme, though, of, like, accepting people openly as they are, not who you wish they were. Like, Bobby, Brittany Snow's character, again, I think at one point mentions how, hey, you know, straight, gay, it's all fine. You be you. Like, they're very cavalier about it. They're very welcoming and warm. It doesn't matter who you are, how you want to be. Like, hey, whatever works for you, man.
And also weirdly, the guy who's in charge of everything. What's his name? The
RJ, the director.
Not the director. Like, oh well, Oh shit.
Or ex's boyfriend. Max's boyfriend, Wayne.
Bobby's boyfriend. What's his name?
Bobby's boyfriend, Jackson.
That's Wayne. Jackson. So he's the one in charge. He's the one like in charge of anything. There's a scene where he and the guy who's shooting the movie, they're talking, and after
No, that's Wayne.
Jenna Ortega. Okay, yeah. So the scene where like Wayne is talking with the guy who's shooting the movie, and after Lorraine offers like, "Hey, I want to be in the movie," like, sure, like this sex thing sounds pretty great. Like I'll do it. He kind of gets like upset, and he goes like, "No, she's not supposed to do that. Like, she's a nice girl." And I like how the other guy like stands up for her. Is like, "Excuse me, like doing this doesn't make you like a bad girl or like less of a nice girl. Like, she's doing it because she wants to, and like you're being like you're not being good by like for like wanting her to not do it. You know, I like how the movie took that approach, and that they weren't punished because of that. Like, I like how they were open and they stuck to that, you know. And Lorraine, she did it because she wanted to, and no one was forcing her. Like they didn't suggest it; she's the one that suggested it. So I like that they stuck to that. That they kept that they kept that value. Weirdly liberal movie to be about what it is, you know. Yeah.
Well,
we definitely need it in a sense like that. Yeah.
Well, if you want to go to the other side of the coin. If we fast forward through the film, so these characters are all killed off in like grim ways. Lorraine is shot, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Lorraine is shot by Howard. Howard has a heart attack, but he always talked about his heart, so that makes sense. Jackson gets shot in the chest, and if you remember though, there's a scene where he says, "I've been shot at by enough farmers." Earlier in the film, he gets shot. Wayne makes a point of like something about his eyes or like something. Pitchfork to the face. Like all their deaths are foretold in some fashion, in some way. Like they're like slightly hinted at. Even Pearl, like her husband says, "I'm afraid she fell somewhere and broke her hip." How does she die? Fires the shotgun, falls, and breaks her hip.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then in the end, at the end of the film, there's also an interesting part where Max, Mia Goth's character, kind of yells, "I will not live a life I don't deserve." And the funny thing is her dad, the preacher, is making that point throughout the whole film. And his sermon is like, sorry, not his sermon, his followers are all saying the same thing. I will not accept a life I do not deserve. And it's like, oh, we're hitting these themes some more.
Yeah. And those two things really bookend the movie pretty well, because at the start and at the end, like those two things are present because that preacher is talking through a good part of the movie. And I like that it wasn't a twist, but it was like a nice reveal when they're like, oh, that's his father, that's her father, and he's like chanting like, find my daughter, she's out there, she got lost in Satan's ways and shit. So I like that. I like that the movie was original and kind of self-contained. I am interested in seeing that Pearl movie and the eventual sequel. This could be an opportunity to have kind of like when we had Fear Street a couple years ago. Remember that?
Yeah.
Was last year?
Yes.
Yeah. This could be like a little Fear Street trilogy thing. And also, I've heard a lot of really good things about Pearl. Maxine is still like being planned. How many horror trilogies are really good? Because this is a good start. If Pearl is as good as the critics say it is, and Maxine is also, this could be like a good modern horror trilogy we're gonna have here.
Well, see, I also though remember like X and Pearl came out within 8 months of each other. Imagine if we get Maxine by let's say March. Like an incredible trilogy, all shot back to back to back, like that. I would be down for that. They shot Pearl in secret while shooting X. Actually, they didn't shoot them separately. They shot them at the same time.
They shot them back to back. Yeah. So that's great. I love A24. I love that A24 is just doing these kinds of things. Like there's so many weird, original, spooky movies, and I love them. We need more of them. This is why I pay my fee. This is why I go see A24 movies in the theater. So loved it. Loved X. I don't have like a lot to say about it because it's mostly all just praise. But yeah, I'm just really happy that we got a movie like this. And yeah, if you haven't seen it, highly recommend that you do.
You know,
watch it with your partner too.
You know, no, fuck no. I was gonna say though, I'm kind of curious. Do you think is A24 really still an independent like company, like independent movie studio?
Nah, I feel it's not like they're independent. It's just they are big. They're based in New York, but they've racked up a lot of money. They've won awards. They've won Oscars, so they can really do. I just like that they can do what they want. Like, they're not tied to like a big studio, so they really just do what they want.
Well, I guess.
And all their movies are original, so that's great.
Well, I guess though, like, they're really the last studio that can make a movie for like $10 million, and if they like make 20 mil, hey, that's enough. Like, we're good. We don't have to make 9 figures every single movie.
Yeah, I think they're really more into it for the art, I think. Because this movie cost $1 million and it made 15 at the box office. Okay? Well, and that's just... And they didn't do that of, like, big actors or a big director. They did it on the strength of, like, just being a weird little movie. And I'm into that. I love that shit.
You know, is this God's Creatures? There's a lot of movies up and coming with them. Man, you know what? I am down to watch more A24 films.
Great.
Let's see. All right. So, final thoughts.
They've kept me well fed this year. I'll just say that. No, final thoughts. I love X. I love that it was original and fun, and that the actors were like great, and the makeup was great, and the deaths were like gooey and physical and practical, and the lightning was great, and I can't wait to see Pearl, but so far I love this. I feel like even if I don't see Pearl, I enjoy this as a closed up story. I loved it visually. I thought it was great. Good job, Ty West. Good job, A24. 4 out of 5 stars.
I would give it solid B plus. I want to see Pearl. I'm wondering if I'll like this series more as like a whole rather than like in independent pieces. But I do want to see the sequels already. Like Pearl, I think I'd want to see it in theaters.
I think it's in theaters now. Out there, like on your side.
I don't know if it still is though. Pearl. We'll see. But yeah, solid B plus. I would recommend it. Be very careful who you watch this movie with though, because you can't watch it with everybody.
Nice.
I'm just saying.
So that's great. Just saying. Yeah. So I love the good movie. Let's review Pearl when we both see it. So yeah, that is our review of X. Thank you so much for joining us. Our show is available on iTunes and YouTube and Spotify. And please let us know what you think. We appreciate any kind of comments. And yeah, please check out our smaller reviews. Also, Eddie busts his ass doing video reviews for all of you. So please do go check them out. Happy spooky season, happy spooky month. Hope everyone has a spooky season without summoning any kind of devils or ghouls. So yeah,
don't tell me what to
fun
do.
with that. My name was Chema,
and I've been Eddie,
and this was the Rollback. Signing off with a reminder. I don't have reminders. Just
make sure you buy candy before Halloween because you don't want to be the one asshole giving away that shitty candy.
Candy corn is overrated. Give the big bars out. Don't give the fun size ones. Those suck. And don't give apples.
No one likes apples.
I said it.
Or bananas.
I do like banana.